everybody. I mean, it's always a pleasure having everyone on the call. So welcome Oscar, welcome Flo, welcome Koi, Flonsi, Nora, and Akomekwe. I mean, it's always fun doing this every Thursday. We just talk about our mindset. We need to figure out when we hit these ranks, how are we going to be able to, of course, handle the kind of money that we'll start earning. So today, Lilo and myself will be speaking about the 10 major causes of failure in leadership. Remember last week, we actually covered the major attributes to leadership. So today we are looking at the opposite, the 10 things we should do as leaders. So there are 10 of them. So that's the only thing we're going to cover on this call, because again, they are very strong points which we feel we have to bring home so they can make sense. So of course, yes, so that's what we're going to cover. Then of course, next week we'll cover the next few things. So of course, we'll start with the first inability, which is the inability to organize details. Okay, this simply means efficient leadership calls for ability to organize and master details. No genuine leader is ever too busy to do anything which may be required of him in his capacity as a leader. So basically, this also means the leader has to have that notion of delegating. Okay, you cannot say, for example, I'm too busy, I'm not able, for example, like to have a three-way call with my team because I have to attend to something else. I'm sure, and we keep saying, if you're on this call and you're already a P150, you already have 3 people in your team. Why don't you delegate, just to ensure that, again, you're not coming out as a very disorganized leader? Because at the end of the day, for example, if we need to do a 3-way call with one of your business partners, a prospect, and you're not available because probably you don't know how to delegate, you've not been training your members, you see now, again, you look very disorganized. So you may end up actually missing a sign up because of being disorganized. And again, also, this also covers also on the trading bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't say, again, we are too busy, we are not going to assist our business partners to trade. We have to have a system that works for all of us to just make sure that, again, we are well organized and everything is flowing the way it's supposed to flow. Lillian?
Yeah, I mean, that point is really, really just, very self-explanatory. As leaders, as Shiro has said, of course, all of us on this call are leaders. Leadership is not just because we are platinum leaders and everything. So we like to emphasize that on our calls, that wherever you are, you could be working somewhere in your business, somewhere in your home, you're a leader. If you're a parent, you're a leader. If you're an older sibling, you're a leader. So you have to be organized. If you want to excel at the very, very, very high level, you have to be organized. And that is what really separates a lot of us on the leadership journey. There are some people who get stuck at a certain level and others just go all the way to the top. Why? Because as Shiro has said, they learned how to delegate. And delegating means that sometimes you also just have to bring in your lieutenants. Sometimes I remember Uncle Migwi put this very nicely another day when we were talking to our leader, Bernard Kiraide, and we were telling him, don't worry, by the way, we are your people on the war, in the fields. We are your generals. We are the ones who are going out there and just running around for you and stuff. You're our leader and everything, so don't worry about what's happening, whether we are doing anything or not, because so that's how a leader should have. You should have your generals, your lieutenants, who are able to also help do stuff, so they can step in. For example, there are times I'm not available, maybe for a 1 o'clock or a Zoom presentation or a training. There has to be someone in my team or in the Kenya team, for example, or just generally in whatever you're doing, who can step in and do exactly what you're doing. Yeah. So for me, that was also was a reminder to me. Like sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever say this, and we say it with a lot of pride. I'm so busy. I'm too busy. I have a lot of things, Sometimes, guys, when you're too busy, when nothing is, you feel like you're overwhelmed, it's a sign of disorganization. It just means that you're disorganized. Sad to say, sometimes we are very proud of saying the way we have so many things on our plate. Don't be proud about that, because even Bill Gates, even, the top, the Manu Chandarias of this world, They are very, very busy people. Try getting an appointment with them. It's almost impossible. Think about Chris Terry, the founder of our company. Try and get an appointment with him. However, have you seen the way our company is organized? Have you seen the way the company where you work at, it's organized? Despite, Safaricom, EABL has how many clients? I mean, sorry, not clients, employees, but it runs a tight ship, I'm very sure. So leadership is about organization. If you're too busy, you can't be too busy to get organized. Yeah. So that was the first point as well. So that you can go ahead, Shiro.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And point is unwillingness to render humble service. Truly great leaders are willing, when occasion demands, to perform any sort of labor which they would ask any other to perform. The greatest among all of us is servant of all, is a truth which all able leaders deserve and respect. I think for me, on this point, what I remembered, and again, all the conventions that we have gone, I know Chris Terry and David Imonitie, they keep, if you're not a servant leader in this business, you can't hack it. What do I mean? Are we too selfish to help? Are we saying, no, Lilo is not on my team, I'm not going to help her learn how to enter and exit trade? No, I'm not going to send her the Zoom ID. I want her to get stuff. So at the end of the day, are we being selfish enough to assist somebody else as much as you're not the sponsor of that person? Okay, so and if you look at somebody like David Dimonite, and for me, I think he's gotten to a level where I think really he does not even have to even attend Zoom calls, but he still does it. All people need to do is request, and he's on it. What is he doing? He's sharing his knowledge, because at the end of the day, remember, he also began where we are right now. So if you don't have that humbleness in you, I don't see this working out, because this business, remember, we are so different. There are people who are aggressive. There are those who, again, are a bit too lazy. There's people you have to push. There's those people you have to keep calling. By the way, have you gone through the basics? If you're not a servant leader, and we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, even though you've sponsored one person, you're already a leader in that organization. Because I keep asking, the same effort you used to call that person, put them on a Zoom call, prospect them, don't you think you also need the same effort to ensure that they're going through the basics? A simple enter and exit trade. Have they downloaded the apps that are needed? Or again, are you going to call Lilo or BK or Komego and say, okay, that guy have signed up, now it is your duty? No, I think from beginning, you really have to be very selfless and humble yourself to a point where, and Komego keeps saying, get yourself to the level of that person. By the way, that's the only way you're going to make it in this business. Remember, anybody who's coming to it doesn't know anything. So, and I keep saying, you have to breastfeed that person. You just have to. It may take 6 months, it may take a year, but you know what? We just have to do it, because at the end of the day, if you're not humble enough, these guys will keep trickling down, because somebody keeps saying, okay, and I think this is also tied to being busy, because they say, okay, it's too busy for me. Am I going to hack this business alone? And again, there's also this mentality. Forex is hard. So if you're not able to work with people, they'll feel, okay, am I not good enough? Was I only good enough because I was a prospect? Now that I have signed up, nobody else cares. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to also forget this thing that I was sponsored by this person, so I can only help. What can I say? Cross share. So like, for example, and we keep giving this example with Lilo and I are in different teams, but believe you me, if her business partner calls me, I'm not going to call Lilo and tell her, Lilo, sort it out. No, I'm going to be able to do whatever I'm supposed to do, because at the end of the day, we are Team Kenya. So I think servant leadership is so vital in this business that we just have to remember. Even us, when we joined the business, somebody actually held our hand and was able to, of course, make sure we've gotten to where we are supposed to. So let's not tire from helping, even as simple as opening a live account. At this point, all of us on this call should be able to assist. And again, if I'm too busy, I should go to call Koi and tell her, Koi, by there, I have this person, please help. So that is where I think, for me, servant leadership comes in. Lilo?
Yeah, and then that just being humble. I mean, think about, for example, the leaders in life in general. Think of the Richard Bransons or Virgin. I mean, when you hear the stories about them, the people who work for them, and the way they say, I don't know if you've heard about it, but for me, I read a lot about Richard Branson and the way he's such a humble leader. People love him. You know, everyone always talks very highly about him. They're very usually shocked when they meet him in person, and they're like, how can you be a billionaire and you're so down to earth? And that's what for me also kept on resonating. You know, you need to like Shiro mentioned, that you need to bring yourself to other people's level. It doesn't matter how high you are. You are up there. You have to be able to come to a relatable space. And when you're relatable, even find that people approach you, they want to be around you, they want to be like you, and so on. And Uncle Migu is very good at that, because I see, you know, for example, the way he goes around town. I mean, there's some, for me, you know, I live this other side of town, and sometimes it's very hard for me to go downtown sometimes. But I see the way he just goes out of his way. You can tell him, I am in Kiambu, he'll be there. You can say, I'm in Syokimau, I'm in Kitengela, I'm in Athi River. I'm sure Uncle Migu will be on that trip down there, you know. So it's about going to where people are physically, but also emotionally, like be relatable. Yes, there are successful people who are not relatable. We're not saying that you will not be successful. But the thing is, you'll be much, much more successful. And there's this Chinese quote that says, be like the bamboo, yeah, the bamboo tree. The higher you go, the deeper you bow. Yeah. So if you forget anything about this point, just be like the bamboo. We all know the bamboo tree. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know if but you just know, as it's growing higher, it just keeps on bending and bending and bending and bending. So that's basically what we are talking about, humility. Like, you could be here, but you just every time, and I love this company, and I love this space that we're in, the network marketing industry, because you really learn that for you to succeed in the business, unfortunately, you cannot succeed by stepping on people. Unfortunately, you only can succeed by helping the people who you bring into the business. When they succeed, so do you. And that's when you begin to learn about humility. And for me, that's what this industry has also taught me. So hopefully you can begin to apply that in your life as well.
Thank you, Lilo. So the third point is expectation for pay for what they know instead of what they do. With that which they know. The world does not pay men for what they know. It pays them for what they do or induce others to do. This is quite simple. Remember, yes, you may know how to trade, okay? But are we helping the rest of people to do that? Yes, you know how to trade, but it's not good enough if you're not expanding that knowledge to the rest of the team. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you for free, there are people in this organization who know strategies, but how many of us come up and say, you know what, I want to teach. I want to, of course, I want to show you what I see in the market. How many of us are willing to do what other trainers are doing? Because at the end of the day, remember, yes, you know it, but if you're not doing it for the better of the other people, it becomes useless at the end of the day. And that's why you find most of these educators that we have, of course, in our organization, look at how God has blessed them so abundantly. Yes, we know they get paid for it, but remember, for example, like the trader-thon, those guys are not given even an extra cent to even do those trader-thons, yeah? And they'll do it like for a week, because they are thinking, if we know something, why don't we spread the gospel? Then it also becomes easier for us, for people to, of course, replicate. So, of course, let people, once, of course, you teach people what you're doing, remember there will be a replication. It also becomes easier for you. And I keep asking myself, can you imagine if we had 10 Mispheres? Imagine we had 10 HFX, JKK. Can you imagine how we will be able to, do you know how many Zooms we'll be able to do? Because someone can take up a Zoom and say, today I'm going to teach on the pivot. Tomorrow I'm going to take up the skill, I'm going to teach on go. I mean, there are so many things we can, on price action. Who on us on this call, we have gone through the candle, and I'm also talking to myself. I'm not pointing at fingers. Even me, I'm asking myself, I've been here for 17 months. Why haven't I taken up a class and say, you know what, I'm going to teach the candlesticks, because that helps us with the price action. So how many of us are willing to teach what we know? And remember, when you're teaching, and this is something we've learned from Lilo, and remember on her trainings, she keeps saying, remember when I'm teaching, I'm also learning. And she could be seeing something that maybe somebody else is seeing something different and like, oh yeah, by the way, yes, you're right and I'm wrong. So it doesn't mean because she's the expert that there are no mistakes. They are there. And I kind of feel that that is something we need to sort of take upon ourselves and teach what we know. And that's why I really acknowledge like Happiness and the husband. My goodness, they've only been here for 6. It's even a challenge for me. They've taken up the harmonic scanner. They are teaching us on it. JKK has taken up binary. He's teaching us on binary. Remember, we are not paying anything to our educators here in Kenya. Nothing, zero. Even sometimes we forget to even send that text of saying thank you. Sometimes even we forget to send a text on Lilo's Telegram group. Sometimes we can be in blue. But how many of us on the interactive even throw one fire emoji, just one? One. Remember, we are paying our bills, but how many? I mean, and she's one person who is so selfless. And for me, and I'm not just saying it because Lilo is my friend, but really, she doesn't have to do what she's doing. If today Lilo decided she's relocating, because I know at some point she wants to relocate and close her channel, what happens to us? You understand? We have to, whatever small you know, if you're a good builder, are you sharing your ideas with your team? And ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we keep preferring Uncle Mego into this is not that he's a favor, or I mean he's at your favorite. No, remember Uncle Mego has been in this business for 25 years, and people on his team can attest that every day at 11 a.m. he has a call with his team. Why? He's pouring into his team, and even though there are 2 people on that team, like clockwork, and Komego is on that team. He's on that call like clockwork. And again, he's also raising leaders. Elsie, who is 20 years old, she's doing mentorship calls about the 21 laws of what? Can somebody please remind me? Florence Wanyoni, please remind me. She's 20 years old, but look at who is mentoring her. Do we have that time to sit down with our people and actually say, you know what, I will spend an hour with my team, pour into them, let's exchange ideas? Are we being so selfish that now I'm a P1000, if Happiness calls me, apana, you wait, I'll talk to you later? Am I pouring into her what I know? Am I pouring into somebody the way Lido is pouring into us? Are we being selfish? And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's a bit of us on all of us where we are a bit selfish. Honestly, there are some people, honestly, because if we're not selfish, I should be calling your cousin. No, I'm on a two-way. I need to pour into my team. How many people are we telling? Read this verse of the Bible. How many people are we accountability partners with? Just check yourself. And I'm also talking to myself. Yeah, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. A 20-year-old is taking us through those classes. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, even though Uncle Megwe is in traffic or in another Zoom call, he'll get out and plug into that. What is he doing? Pouring life, being selfless, okay? And he's sharing what he knows, because among all of us, he's the most experienced person. Let's be very, very honest, the most experienced person. So he's saying, instead of me staying with this knowledge, let me spread it out and let's see how many more people can do exactly what he's doing. Lilo? You said.
Yeah, yes. So thank you for that, Shiro. And just to add, and just to also emphasize, there's a gentleman called Dave Ramsey. I'm sure you guys know him or have come across his content. He's basically a financial person. He has a show and he talks about money and all the things related with money. And he once said this, that money is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge, which just emphasizes what we're talking about, that you can have all these things in your head about how to do your business, how to trade, how to, anything, even at work, you can have all this information. But if it's not, if you're not doing, if you're not taking the action, you're not implementing, then really, as a leader especially, then, all the thoughts we have about our businesses, we write them down. We write our goals. I want to be chairman 100. I want to be a master educator. I want to sign up to people. Even if you write them down, because writing is planning, and that's what we've been talking about through this entire series. But you can't plan forever. That plan has to go into action. That plan has to go into your behavior. Like it has to be seen in your behavior, especially as a leader. Like like Shiro just asked, like, for example, we've been on this call for the last 6 or so weeks. We've been on this mentorship call, and all of you guys, I've been seeing many of you on the call, and it's really awesome. But the question is, when you leave the call, What do you do about the information? So there's all this information that you're gathering up in your head, in your notebook. I'm sure some of you have journals, you have notes and notes and pages. But is it translating into your life? Like after this call, are you going to start doing mentorship calls? Are you going to start doing trainings and teaching us what you know about trading? Are you going to start showing us how to build the business, or telling us, come, let me show you because it doesn't make sense. And that's the scary thing about mentorship and attending all these calls that we are on. Let's say the chairman calls that we are always on every Sunday night or every morning on Thursdays and all that. It's very scary because you could be here and a year later, you just have information in your head and you can give quotes. You know, it's the way Christians can go to church and we can quote the Bible. We can say, for God so loved the world, for he gave his only son. And these things, but do you really love God that much? And do you really understand what it means for him, the way he loved his son and his son sacrificed himself for us? So those are the things. And also something I also want to bring to perspective. You could be working somewhere, right? You could be at your job, you could be employed, or in your business. But let me speak in the job setting, for example, because that's where you have an employer, someone you answer to, and then yourself and your colleagues and whatnot. When you went for your interview for your job for the first time, you came with your CV. Okay, you came with your CV and you said you've done all these things. I mean, I had a CV once that never really helped me, but I was, I could say I got my degree in social sciences and I passed and whatnot, and I'm here for all those things. And they go through your application and everything. Then they hire you. If you think about it, and sometimes, we also complain in the job setting, sometimes someone comes in and they pass you, okay? Or you're there with somebody working in the same department, but they are getting promoted and you're not getting promoted. Sometimes the job setting may not be very fair the way they do promotions, but sometimes you need to look inside and ask yourself, okay, why are these people getting promotions and I'm not getting promotions? Sometimes it's not your CV. You could be the smartest person. You could be CEO worthy on paper, but you can't even express yourself in an interview. You can't even implement what you say you can do. So that's basically what you're talking about, guys. You could be here and you could even be a platinum leader. You could be a platinum 150 leader, platinum 1000, platinum myself 2000, etc. But if you're not translating what you at the level that you are, it's not going to happen. So that's what I wanted to say. I mean, we look at people like the Brandon Boyds, the David Imonites, the Matt Rossas and all that. Those guys, for sure, they are implementing, they're practicing what they preach, and that's where we always say, practice what you preach. You'd rather not even talk about anything. And even with Shiro and I on these calls, in as much as every week we are here trying to motivate you and tell you, oh, do this, do that, at the end of the day, if we also don't do what we are talking about, you guys will stop following us. It's very simple. We are here because we have you guys here supporting us, but at one point you'll get tired. If I'm not showing up the way I should show up as a leader, if I'm not doing what I say I should be doing on all these calls, then really, guys, and that's why you'll see for us, and I always encourage people, be on the calls, and I'm really happy to see you guys here. Even if you hear us saying the same thing every single week, just keep coming, because that's also part of leadership. You could be hearing the same thing, but one day it'll make sense to you. So over to you, Shiro.
Thank you very much, Lilo. The fourth major cause of failure in leadership: fear of competition from followers. The leader who fears that one of his followers may take his position is practically sure to realize that fear sooner or later. The able leader trains those who he thinks he may delegate to. You have to have the ability to get others to perform. Simply what is our team members, not followers, in fact, let me say team members, are they duplicating what we are doing? Again, I go back. If you're on this call, you're a P150. The three people who are on this, who are in your organization, if you have three, are two able to do a Zoom call? Are two able to know, in case I sign up somebody, this is what I need to onboard? Have you trained them enough? Are we, and this is where, again, it boils down to how many Zoom calls are we doing in our small organization? How many times we come together? You can even do a three-way call. You're only three. Come up, say, you know what, this is what I want to teach you today. So again, am I in so much fear that if I teach happiness what I know, she should become better than me? You know what? I even wish everyone on this would get better. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I wish they would surpass what I know. Because why? It means duplication is going on. And again, let's look at, of course, what Akina Bryce Thompson do. Those people, they have, Yani, those guys duplicate action after action after action. And if you look, that's why they are producing the best traders, because those guys are trading. And I would say today, if you follow Noel Trimble, look at her Insta story today. Oh my God, today she laid it raw. She said that you have to, I mean, you can't be somebody who is just sitting there and throwing out at praises and there's nothing that you're doing. You have to do the work, you have to plug in, you have to do the work. Again, don't wait for, of course, people probably who have ranks and decide no, because Lilo is a P2000, let her do the Zooms, because Uncle Megwe is very good in mentorship. Let him talk to people. Even today, you can say, no, Uncle Megwe, today I think you've been doing a lot of testimonials. I want to do it. In fact, I think Lilo going forward, calls will not be calling people. We'll pull a JKK. Let's see who is ready to actually say, you know what, yes, I want to give a testimonial. Because again, let us, leaders on the call, and I believe we are leaders in our own magnitude, we are leaders. Let us help people to duplicate what we are doing. Let us not be the ceiling to those people. So after this call, find out from your team how many people can actually replicate what you do. That if today go on holiday, Cancun, does it mean Zoom calls will stop the 1 p.m.? No. There are so many people who can do Zooms in my organization. So ask yourself, do a checklist, come up with a list, come up with 2-3 people, put them on a Zoom, say, okay, and even call a few people. We are doing a practice Zoom. This is what, let them again train. And then one day just surprise anyone, say, you know what, Lilo, today I want to do your 1 p.m. Nobody is going to say no. Like Flo, Anyoni, and Happiness. We never told them to do the Zooms. They just came back. You know what, ladies? I want to be doing Zooms. Yeah.
And then, sorry about that. Thank you, Shiro. Sorry. Yeah. So just to add, because Shiro has just covered that so well, so there's not really much for me to really talk about. But just to add, because for me, I like quotes, and I like, I like these leaders like Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was one of the first mentors I had online. And because I was introduced to him by another mentor who used to know him personally. So, and I mean, he says it, and we've had this so many times, if you help enough others get what they want, then you will eventually get what you want. So that's basically what this whole thing of, like helping your people to succeed and level up to the same level you are. For me, I got this a bit late in the business, and I got this a bit late. I understand. I mean, of course, I knew it in theory, but practically, and I realized that for me to get to where I want to get to, I can't be afraid to allow my downlines or my leaders in my team to also level up. And I mean, I think someone like Jeremiah can really attest. Maybe I'm just putting him on the spot, but on my team, he's a guy I'm always like, Jeremiah, can you do this ABCD? Can you do this? Can you teach us HFX? Because I realized at a point in my career and in my business in the academy was that I was the shiny star. I was that person everybody's like, Lilo, 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 Lilo. But I could be a star, but my bank account does not reflect that star. It's not shining as well as I want it to shine, And the reason it's not shining is, guess what? Because we want to be everything. And this happens everywhere. This happens in family settings. This happens at the job setting. This happens, I mean, you've seen it where you're working somewhere and someone just never wants you to get credit for anything. Someone just always wants to be the person who's being lauded and applauded and celebrated at all that. And for me, I always tell Shiro, sometimes I cringe when people are always celebrating me and telling me, because I'm like, if people are only celebrating me and they're not celebrating Jeremiah or Forex or people on my team, then there's a problem. And yes, I will get the recognition. Yes, I'll be at the top and everyone will be happy. However, I won't see growth. And guys, we want growth. For us to grow, we need people to do exactly what we are doing. And this is our call out to you guys. Come out, step up. We can't know whether you're good at this or not. Just come and say, I want to handle the 1 p.m. presentation as Shiro has said. I mean, for me, I would love if someone would be like, hey, take all the 1 p.m. Zooms. I'll be happy, because then it frees up my time to do other things in the business. So it's not like this is, people say 1 p.m. is Lillian's baby. Yes, it's my baby. Yes, I was one of the first people to go online and start doing Zoom calls in Kenya. However, yeah, I don't want to be the only person doing Zoom calls. I don't want to be the poster child. Lillian was the first person to do Zooms, or is, no, anyone can do the Zooms, the 4 p.m. Zooms, the 7 p.m. Zooms. Just step up, guys. So that's what you're talking about. So for the leaders on the call, the people who want to build teams, start thinking long term. Start thinking, anytime I bring someone on board, what are the things I need to do? What can I teach them that I already do today? Schedule. On Mondays, I wake up and I do my morning meditation or whatever. And that's what the mentorship calls are anyway, for that we jump on every Monday or every Sunday and all that, to just learn what the leaders are doing so that we can follow. That's the purpose. So thank you very much. Shiro, you can just go to the next point.
Thank you, Lilo. So the next is lack of imagination. This is cool. Without imagination, the leader is incapable of meeting emergencies and creating plans by which to guide his followers efficiently. So again, we ask, in the event, and I like always giving an example of, for example, a Zoom had been planned and maybe because of a hitch, something happened. As a leader, am I going to watch and say, we have canceled the Zoom, for example? But have we sort of like, am I prepared in my, do I have something in my mind that in case like this happens, I'm able to do this just to make sure everything is flowing seamlessly. And remember, when you have an imagination, you're even creating plans. So again, we go back to our teams. Do we already have plans for our teams? Okay, for example, you're a P600. There are 12 people in your organization. What plan do you have as a leader to ensure that the 12, again, are also hitting rank? What's your plan? How are you prospecting? How are you doing your three-way calls? Do you have like a planner saying, today I'll be spending time with like 3 of my teammates, Then we make sure that by this time, 3 of my teammates need to have hit probably P150. Remember, if we're on the, I remember the call for David Immunity. Yes, we all want to hit Chairman 10 or Chairman. But do you realize before Chairman, you have to be a P1000, P600, P1000. So he said, yes, Chairman is a big elephant. You have to eat small bites. So my question is, the people on this call who have teammates, what plan do you have? Like if I just, like even me, what plan do I have for my team members? Do you already have a list saying, okay, Flo Wanyoni, I know has 8 more people to hit P600. What plans do we have together? Remember, I'm saying together because we are working together to ensure that she gets those other 6. Remember, for her to get 6, she has to ensure the other people are ranking up. So I think as leaders on this call, we have to have a definite plan. Because remember, again, without a plan, you're like lost in a jungle. You don't know which direction. Yes, you are seeing but you don't know where to go. Yes, we want to hit Chairman 10, but what's the plan? What's the plan? Okay, are we also creating for emergencies in case like power goes out? What happens in my house and I'm the one who was presenting Zoom? Have a good relationship with Lilo and tell her, by then Lilo, please take over. Does she have my sign-in credentials in case I'm out? As a leader, you also have to have your aim. And remember again, Manikinones, there's a time he did call, and for me that call was so powerful. He said, as a business owner, you have to have your 3 aces, just like a deck of cards. Those 3 people who you can call at midnight and say, get onto a Zoom, I have this plan, we need to execute it. You understand? So we have to have that sort of, we have to have enough imagination to make sure that our boat is not sinking at any one time,
And then just to bring that point home as well, I mean, think about it again in the real world, in the context that we live in, just to make it a bit more practical. If you notice, all these big companies, all these big corporations, let's say like the especially the government agencies, the telecoms, the KPLCs, the EABLs, and all these big Safaricoms and stuff, you find that especially within some of these very high pressure companies, environments, at the very top level, you find that the CEOs tend to be changed a lot. Like today, there's this CEO being announced, and especially if it's a struggling organization, there'll be a huge turnaround of CEOs, and all that. And usually you find that the reason sometimes is maybe they hired somebody and then maybe that somebody did turn around or didn't meet the target. Okay. And then they were like, okay, you're not doing a good job. Your time is over. They don't hire you again. You understand? So those positions at the very top are usually very competitive. And which translates to exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis. These positions at leadership, guys, in as much as we don't see the competition like in the corporate world, there is a lot of competition. Like people will follow you based on what you're providing, based on what you're presenting. You understand? So it means that as a leader, there's a lot of pressure, yes, and it has to be there because you're leading many people to their dreams and everything. But always come back and try and understand why it's important for you to think outside the box. Because there are some companies, for example, I don't know, I think it's Telcom. By the time they did not even Telcom, maybe right, maybe a bad example. However, there are some companies which, when they do their rebranding, it's just shocking. Like you're so blown away by what they did. And then you're wondering, but then what was that leader again doing? The one who was there before. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced things like that when a brand is changing and you're like, whoa. And usually you find maybe a new leader came on board and now, did whatever they could and change things around. And because that leader maybe had some imagination, and this thing called imagination has been talked about, if you guys have noticed, from the beginning of the book of Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. So it means that it's a very key factor. Yeah. So that's one thing that we need to really just remember as well.
Thank
Shiro?
you.
Yeah.
The next point is, point number 6 is selfishness. This is very self-explanatory. The leader who claims all honor of the work of his followers is sure to be met by resentment. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing more powerful than identifying your business partners. It doesn't matter, even though there's not hit rank, they're not trading, so long as in the organization, one needs to say, oh, so this is the fluency that so-and-so has been talking about, because you keep edifying your business partners, because you can't again be taking all the honor. In fact, I'm the one who asked Floncy to be doing that training. No. Because what happens, this person, again, the self-esteem comes down, and then they're thinking, okay, I know there's just something about human, and it's applicable even when we're growing up and when we need to be commended. It's just a way of self-satisfaction. So that you feel anyway, somebody has recognized something that I have done. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, again, we also say, celebrate what you want to achieve. If somebody has done something, do you know, ladies and gentlemen, it costs 0 effort to throw in a fire emoji. 0 effort. It also 0 effort for you to share maybe a poster that has been shared on and say, you know what, my business partner will be doing this Zoom, or we have a trading in we have a trading. 0 effort, because that is what is that again making you do? You're not a selfish person, and whoever is joining an organization, like, hey, I know I want to duplicate what Nora is doing. Okay, because anytime something is posted, she's of course giving praise to it. And I'm not saying at just because at the end of the day, if JKK is coming to teach us about HFX, this is going to add value. So even sometimes, even him himself, he may be overwhelmed to put out the poster. Say what? By then today there's and I've not seen the poster. Put it out there. It's okay, because remember again, whoever you have sponsored into the business or people who are around you, they're watching what you're doing. So let's not again be so selfish that we don't want to actually recognize our business partner. So if even somebody in your team or even outside your team is doing a fantastic job, imagine just applaud them, comment them, tell them you're doing a good job. Actually, when pick up the phone, say by their happiness, that Zoom was exemplary. It was so well done. You know what, Floncy, that was a very good testimonial. What does this do to your business partner? It elevates them. So anybody else who is coming to the business after them, they're also going to elevate them. So what is happening? They're all elevating each other. So I think for me, that's my point on selfishness.
Thank you very, Shiro. Just to add that, I'll just share a personal story. I've mentioned before, very many times that a long time ago, before I got into business, my personality was very different from what it is right now, right? So I was very introverted, very shy, very, like, I mean, everyone would be like, how did you get into business? You never used to talk. But I just based on this comment, this point of selfishness and everything, and giving people recognition, how I eventually started getting out of my shell was through my first mentor. I talk about him all the time. I mentioned this mentor, but this guy was called Jeffrey Samaganda. Jeremiah is on the call. He knows this gentleman. And he started out as my mentor and eventually became one of my best friends for very many years, and we still talk till today. But this guy was based in the UK, and he came into Kenya and he set up this company, and eventually, they closed shop because it wasn't really working. But when I met him and everything, and I started just hanging around him, just hanging around him because I loved what he was talking about. He used to talk about Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, all these things. It was new and exciting. I was young and I was like, hey, fired. But the thing about it was he noticed, he picked me out, he noticed me, and he was like, you know what, I can mentor you. I think he was looking for people to mentor. So I was like, yes, mentor me. Now, what happened thereafter is I then volunteered. He's one of the people I say I volunteered to work for. And I volunteered with him for 2 years with no pay. I remember my mom used to be like, this job of yours that has no salary, how can you be working so hard? And I used to go to his where he used to work, is at his office in the morning, early in the morning, whenever he'd be in the country, because he didn't live in Kenya, but whenever he was in the country, I would be there 7 a.m. And then I'd be leaving at 8, 10 p.m. at night. And you're wondering, what was I doing? But for me, I recognized that this was an opportunity for me to grow. But let me tell you what the point is here. The point is, no one knew. At a point, I was like the only person around him a lot, just working and doing whatever his errands, running around in town, doing, really everything that he wanted me to do. And he gave me this title and said, you're going to be the business development, whatever, something, training, something. And what that did was, it was like, wait, this guy with his organization and who he is, his background, I mean, if you get to know about him, he's a really big shot, he's just decided to give me this title, to treat me like, during like meetings and what, everyone there would be thinking, hey, you must be earning a lot of money. But guys, for 2 years, I earned zero. But what I earned was not cash value. What I earned was quality. What I learned was education. And that is what brought me out of my shell. So the point is this: you could have shining stars on your team right now, but you're not noticing them. You're not picking them out. Why? Because they're not obvious. They're shy, they're introverted like I was, and you'll never ever, and they'll never even be able to know how good they are. Because I can tell you for sure, I never knew how good I could be. I never ever believed in myself. I didn't even think I would ever be anything or amount to anything. For me, I knew I'm going to get married, have kids, have 4 babies, and that's it, and be a housewife. But that was my goal. I'll be very honest with you. But then this guy comes and tells me, no, that's not your destiny. That's not your destiny. You have something in you. So there's some of you here, even as leaders, you have maybe three, you're a platinum 150. You have 3 people. You don't even engage them. You don't even find out how they are, just to find out what is their potential. Because all of us right now are potential leaders. All of us are potential David Dimonites. So selfishness is what makes us never ever grow as well, because we are not willing to let other people come and shine, as opposed to us. So that's all I'll say on that point. As we
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wow. Okay. Number 7, intemperance. I hope I've spelled that right. This generally just means the action of quality of showing anger or violence. Okay, and the book says followers will not respect an intemperate leader. You can't be a violent person or very slow to anger and expect that you're going to run an organization. And we keep saying, in this organization, we are so different from different backgrounds that we have to be so patient. We cannot even have that thing of, yes, you can get upset for a second, but count 10 backwards and then say, you know what, I need to talk to this person. So at the moment, probably you feel, okay, for example, I'm upset with Happiness. Happiness is my business partner. There should be never one time feels anger out of my mouth. And I'm so sure we will cross paths, because remember, again, in this business, there's a lot of competition, which is very, very healthy. So of course, there'll be a lot of conflict, but there should be no one time as a business person that business partners should ever feel my anger, because once they feel, then it means I'm not in control of my emotions. And sometimes this business can be so emotional. What do I mean? Happiness may need my attention. Right now, I'm trying to send out a prospect. I've been trying to call him. Then the time I'm trying to call him, Happiness again calls me and tells me, Shiro, I have this prospect. I should not get upset. I should already be able to manage that anger in case I'm getting angry. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying I get angry over small things like that. I'm just giving an example. She should never feel my anger. In fact, I'd rather say, Happiness, you know what? I need to call you back. Calm down, practice a smile. I go to my mirror. So when I'm calling her back, there should be no shred of anger, because what does that do? The moment we start getting angry at each other, and that friendship sort of tears down, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we are business partners, we're also friends. The day I get married, I want all of you at my wedding. I cannot afford to be angry with any one of you, you understand? Because remember, as Bilo is saying, we are all potential David Imonitis. Can you imagine? He has, I think now, 60,000 people globally. Imagine that guy used to get upset. What happens? Guys will be dropping flies, like literally. Can you? How many people would he be angry at as a leader? So I think that is also something we need to check ourselves. Now that, of course, we are, of course, growing into, of course, big teams, we need to check our anger levels. Back to you.
Yeah, and just to add quickly, you guys know this verse in the Bible that I think it's sometimes, I used to take it a bit negatively, but I see the point now. Proverbs 25:24 that says, better to live on the corner of the roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. So intemperance, I know for the women here, sometimes that verse is very, it's very, yeah. So, but it's not to say that we don't want you to quarrel and stuff like that. But intemperance is also a lack of moderation or restraint. That's just basically what we are saying. Like, you drink too much, that's also intemperance. You worry too much. There's excesses in the negative bits of your life, and you're not able to manage yourself and your emotions and everything. And Napoleon Hill says, that it destroys relationships and the vitality of all who engage in that relationship. So that's, when Shiro says people start falling away because you're just too much. I'm sure you've said that about somebody in your lifetime. You said, that person is too much. That person is just being intemperate. As in, that's basically what we're talking about. So don't be that person who I see your phone call or you see their phone call and you're like, not today, Satan, kind of thing. So that's basically it. So we can move to the next point, Shiro.
So the next point is disloyalty. And actually, Napoleon Hill says, perhaps this should have come at the head of the list. Basically, should have been point number one. The leader who is not loyal to his trust and to his associate, those above him and those below him, cannot long maintain his leadership. Disloyalty marks one of being less than the dust of the earth and brings down on one's head the contempt he deserves. Lack of loyalty is one of the major causes of failure in every walk of life. Ladies and gentlemen, this, I'm telling you, applies everywhere. Once we think you're a disloyal person, or if you think Shiro is a disloyal person, that's it. Do you know how long it's going to take to bring back to gain back anybody's loyalty? And for example, like in this business, because we've experienced it before, because Lilo and I have been here for quite a number of months, and also JKK. We've gotten people, you send a prospect, then somebody signs up that person under somebody else's link. Can you imagine? Those things used to happen before, but can you imagine how that now, once you do that, will anybody ever trust you to even prospect for them on their behalf? You understand? So basically, and this is all round, even as a business person, even though you're employed, or even in your own home, you have to learn to be very loyal, because loyalty and trust go together, if I'm not wrong. And we keep saying, if a glass like this breaks, it can be put together, but it will never be the same again. Once it shatters, that's it. Once we are disloyal, I don't know which mountain you need to climb for us to gain trust. So in this business, we have to be so careful that loyalty actually needs to be the name of a slogan, I don't know, a caption, I don't know, because it is so essential that we have to be loyal among each other, so that, again, if I know I have a prospect who needs help. I can entrust my prospect with JKK, and I know that person will be given the right information. And of course, he or she will know what they're getting into. Basically, what are we saying? You need to stand in that person's shoes, the person that you're representing. Okay, because the moment you are disloyal, what happens? You represent me as a liar to, of course, the person else perspective. So I think, again, disloyalty is very, very self-explanatory.
Yeah, and he says, it's one of the major causes of failure in all areas of life. Look at marriage. What are the major causes of failures in marriage? Usually it's disloyalty. Friendship, when you decide you don't want to speak to somebody, it's because you just kind of feel, they're not being loyal to you. They're not being loyal to the friendship and the commitment and everything. When it's at the workplace, when you get fired, when someone is fired, usually the bosses are like, this guy sometimes is just not loyal to the company, and that brings me to the point here. Like now, sometimes as leaders, and I'm talking to leaders, okay, you could be here and you're not thinking like this, but if you're a leader, this is how I think sometimes. I'm like, there are so many things going on around us. There are so many things we can do. And there are so many other companies that maybe are doing the same thing that we're doing. But sometimes when you're always all over the place, you're here, you're here, you're here. Yes, we're all looking for money and we all want to succeed. But if you don't have focus and you're not loyal to one thing, then you'll never be able to see how far it can go. And for me, sometimes I'm like, I also get tempted. I'm like, hey, this business here is not easy. We are trying to be David Demonitius and all that, but it's not happening as fast as we want it to happen. So why don't I try something else? Why don't I do this on the side? And sometimes it also means disloyalty to your own dream. You set your dream, you set your goals. At the beginning of the year, you said, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this. But then when you don't follow through, that's also disloyalty to your own commitment. So it's not just about disloyalty to other people, but also to yourself. And those are the things that as leaders, we need to always keep on reminding ourselves over and over and over. Yeah. So Shiro, you can go to the next almost final point.
The second last, emphasis of the authority of leadership. The efficient leader leads by encouraging and not by trying to instill fear in the hearts of his followers. Again, we cannot be uko, we are commanding people. No. We have to encourage. For example, again, I'll go to Zoom calls. If we have seen some potential in, for example, Nora, I should not instill fear and tell her, by then, Nora, if you don't start doing Zooms, I will not be supporting you, or I'll stop being your friend. No, encourage her, tell her, by then, Nora, you're a very bubbly person. So I think this is something you can do. And actually, what I would suggest, I do the first half of the presentation, do the second half. So what are you doing? You're encouraging this person. You're not instilling fear. You're not being a forceful leader. You're being very accommodating. And by default, they'll be like, by the way, yeah, right, by then I'm a very bubbly person. Let me give this a try. But the moment you instill in her, no, you've been here for 6 months, you've never done a Zoom call, why are you here? Nora will never step up. Again, we also don't know her strengths. So until the moment we start encouraging each other, that's the only time we're going to know our strengths.
Yeah, and also I think we are all adults here at the end of the day, and not just adults. We are leaders in our own homes. We are leaders in our own lives. So of course it's very challenging when somebody comes and wants to start pointing out your problems and your flaws and everything, and trying to show you that they're the boss and everything. And Napoleon even says it, like, if a leader is a real leader, you don't have to advertise that fact. You don't have to ever tell anybody, I am a leader, I am the leader. You don't have to. So for me, what I've just been learning is sometimes you can be in the background but still lead. You cannot say anything but still lead. People will still want to follow you because of your demeanor. I mean, look at when you think about the Bob Collymores of this world, when people are talking about who he was. I didn't know him personally, but it follows that he was actually a really good leader. And I used to think that Michael Joseph was the guy, but it looks like Bob Proctor, Bob Collymore was the guy that you can tell he's in my head. Yeah, was a guy that that most people really, really, really loved as a person because of who he was. So you don't have to say, I am Platinum 5,000, I am the Team Kenya leader, or I am Platinum 2,000. And I've mentioned Platinum 5,000 not because Bernard is on the call or anything, but just you guys need to understand that authority and leadership are just they go hand in hand. But we don't have to advertise who we are for people to follow us.
Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, point is emphasis of title. The competent leader requires no title to give him the respect of his followers. The man who makes too much over his title generally has little else to emphasize. So again, this also brings down to point. I can't be saying at I'm a P1000. What do I have to show for it? Or am I just hanging on to that P1000 because I have nothing else to show? So, and that's why sometimes we even say, in fact, when we are talking to, of course, like when we just have calls like with Wanyoni Florence, well, like, you know what, sometimes it's not even about ranks, it's about how many lives have we impacted. I mean, how many, so it's not even about you being a P1000, what, or any other rank too. I just want to make an example of myself, but you don't need to have that title. Let us see your deeds. Actually say, aha, by the way, that could be a platinum leader because of ABC. You don't even need to tell anybody your rank. But already what you're doing, they're already saying, hey, there this person is acting. I think she could be, or he could be, at whatever rank that, of course. So let's forget titles. Let's also be also very accessible. You can't say, and this is something that Chris Terry actually said. In fact, I think the last time we were in, I think New York, I can't remember. He said, in fact, he was talking to chairman. He doesn't want, actually, no, sorry. It's so many, what he has seen most guys do, once you get to P2000, oh my goodness, you think you're an MD of a company. Nobody can tell you anything. Even somebody trying to call you, umefika. Here's what is P2000. Even to Chairman Tens, once they hit the stage, he said, I don't want to see those funny poses you're making on social media. What is Chairman 10? You've only impacted 500 people. Go out there and impact other lives. What? But then that is what he said. Below and BK, you can attest.
Remember, yeah.
About the title. How many people are we impacting? How many people are we showing the plan? How many people are trading in organization if you're a Chairman 10? How is half of your team trading successfully? Are they building successfully? And that is what Chris Terry kept reminding us, that we need to get that notion of title. It needs to go kabisa. Lilo, you can close.
And you know, it's just the thing that the man who makes too much emphasis on his title generally has very little else to emphasize. You know, like if all it is that it's your title, then that means that there's something you don't have much. You know, and I usually say, you know, let your actions speak for themselves. You know, for me, I keep on saying I'm very competitive, but I'm also very clear in my mind that sometimes people will underestimate you, you know, and they will treat you a certain way because of, if that's the case, then just prove it through your actions. Eventually, I mean, think about it. There's some people who you don't know about them, then the day they become a chairman, everybody in the company, in the world is like, oh my God, this leader. That time before, maybe they were even your neighbor, maybe they were even on your team, but you just never even noticed them, you know. And that's the thing about leadership. Leadership just reveals itself. You don't have to say you're a leader. You don't have to have a CEO title. I'm sure if you worked somewhere or you've been in a team setting, you've even been around incompetent leaders who they don't produce, leaders who, you know, you just look at them and you're wondering, how did they get there? And that's the same thing with our business. There are some people on your team right now, and this is hard to talk, they're looking at you and they're thinking, how did I not join this company before you? Because right now you're not really adding value, you know, guys. And we say this with a lot of love, that if you're not adding value to your team, your colleagues, to your leaders, then you're not really, you know, you're not going to really, it's hindering you, it's making your journey of growth slower. And you know, and that just brings me to the end of, you know, our conversation this evening. I hope you've just, you know, gotten everything, and I just want to summarize as always and just give you, for those who are taking notes, maybe these are just key points you can take away. There are 10 key qualities that will make you fail as a leader. And the first one is your disorganization, your inability to organize the details, you know. The second one is unwillingness to render humble service, you know, humility, you know, how humble are you? Even when you're praised and everything, do you like become arrogant and you're like, yeah, I'm the best? Or do you actually acknowledge that you're not there because of you, you're there because of your team, you're there because God has put you in a position of leadership so that you can lead, not for your glory, but for his, you know. So then the next one is expectation for what, expectation for what they know instead of what they do. Sorry, I didn't mean expectation. It's like you is it expectation? Sorry, let me just confirm that so that I say it properly. Expectation of pay, of pay for what you know instead of what you do, right? You're going to be paid, your value will be based on what you're giving, not on what you know. And number 4, fearful competition from your followers. Don't be afraid of your people. Don't be afraid of your team members and people who are coming up and they're rising fast. I mean, like Shiro has some amazing people on her team, Kina Sifa and everything. And I'm always like, wow, you guys, hey, you're going to go very far because they're learning how to trade within 3 months. Us, we took 6 a year, so we are very excited about that. Then lack of imagination, like sometimes think outside the box. The reason why your team is not growing is because of your lack of imagination, and that's the hard talk here. I mean, it's not about anything, it's just that you're not thinking outside the box. Then the next one, selfishness. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Number 7, intemperance. Number 8, disloyalty. Number 9, emphasis of the authority of leadership. And number 10, emphasis of your title. So if you get these 10 things in part down, and the other 10 things we talked about, that the 10 things that make you a great leader as well, that you need to succeed in our previous call, you're well on your way to becoming that chairman leader that you need to become, or becoming that leader in your home, or that leader in your business, that leader in society, and so on. So thank you guys. We just want to wrap it up. I don't know if Shiro has anything to add, but I'm done for this evening. Really, it's 6:35. Thank you for just holding on for this 1 hour and just listening to us and taking, these pointers. I really hope they're of value. And like I said, every time we do these calls, guys, we actually grow, I think, even more than you. So thank you very much for your presence on our calls as well.
Yeah, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's always fun doing this with, of course, Lilo. It's just exciting. So thank you to the members for always supporting us. And like Lilo says, I hope there's a lot of value. So let's go out there, let's practice the value, let's duplicate it to our teams, let them also grow. And yeah, so we will see you here next Thursday, same time. Yes, it's always a pleasure. So see you again at 7 p.m. for, of course, our edition. So invite, and come and let's, of course, show the plan. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Good evening.